Beloved chosen one. Slow your breath and stay with me. This moment is not random. You are hearing this because something ancient inside you is stirring again. You have always sensed it, that quiet knowing that you are not merely human moving through routines, but something sent, clothed in flesh, walking among systems that were never designed to understand you. You don't announce it. You don't boast. Yet the weight of it follows you into every ordinary day. You wake up and step into a world that feels rushed, loud, and transactional. Work is not just work for you. It is a proving ground. While others see tasks, you see consequences. While others chase titles, you feel the cost of compromise. You might sit in meetings where decisions are made quickly, but your spirit lingers on what those decisions mean for people, families, futures. This makes you slower, but also deeper. And depth, in a shallow world, often feels like a burden. You may have wondered why you feel drained even when your schedule looks manageable. Why rest doesn't always restore you the way it seems to restore others. The truth is, you don't just expend energy physically, you expend awareness. You notice shifts in tone. You sense tension before words are spoken. You feel when something is off, even if no one can explain why. This sensitivity is not a flaw. It is the fingerprint of an incarnated messenger, one designed to perceive before acting. Let's bring this into a very real, everyday situation. Imagine you're managing finances this month. On paper, it's tight. You could cut a corner, delay a payment, bend the truth, or lean on someone who already carries enough. No one would know, but you do. And that inner witness won't let you rest. You sit there at night, calculator glowing, heart heavy, choosing the harder honesty over the easier relief. That decision may not feel spiritual, but it is. Heaven often watches the smallest choices more closely than the loudest declarations. This is where many of you feel misunderstood. Family members may tell you that you think too much. Colleagues may say you're too serious. Friends might wonder why you can't just let things slide. What they don't see is that you are not wired for spiritual sleep. You were never meant to drift. You were meant to stay awake in a world that prefers numbness. And yet here is the hope: being awake does not mean being crushed. You are not called to carry this awareness alone. There is a covering over your life, even when you feel exposed. There is a protection working quietly, even when outcomes are uncertain. You may feel vulnerable, but you are not unguarded. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 10, "See that you do not despise one of these little ones. For I tell you that their angels in heaven always see the face of my Father in heaven." Let that sink in. Always see the face. That means constant access, constant awareness, constant assignment. You are not wandering without supervision. You are not walking into challenges unseen. Heaven is attentive to those who carry innocence, obedience, and purpose in fragile vessels. And when you feel alone, that does not mean you are unattended. It means you are being trusted. Look again at your life. Notice how, despite stress, you have been spared from certain disasters, and how some doors closed painfully, but saved you later. How some relationships ended before they destroyed you. At the time, it felt like loss. Now you can see traces of protection. This is not coincidence. This is oversight. Your role right now is not to force clarity but to remain aligned. Alignment looks like showing up honestly at work, even when recognition is delayed. It looks like managing money with integrity, even when abundance hasn't arrived yet. It looks like loving family members without absorbing their chaos. These are not small acts, they are training grounds. The rhythm of this message must rise and fall, just like your life does. Some days you feel powerful, steady, certain. Other days you feel tired, confused, human. Both are allowed. Incarnation means heaven chose limitation on purpose. Not to weaken you, but to prove that light can function inside pressure. So here is the question you must answer, not out loud, but in truth. Where in your everyday life are you being invited to trust divine protection instead of controlling the outcome? Before we move forward, take one intentional step. If this spoke to you, like the message, share it with someone who quietly carries the same awareness. Leave a comment to anchor this moment, and subscribe to stay connected. At the end, as a sign of protection and alignment, comment the number 111. Long before Jesus spoke a single word, before he healed anyone or taught beside the sea, danger had already taken notice of him. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 2, a powerful king reacted with fear not toward an army, not toward a rebellion, but toward a child. Herod ruled with violence and control, yet the rumor of a newborn king unsettled him. Wise men arrived asking where the child was who had been born king of the Jews. And that question alone exposed everything. Power recognized destiny early. Jesus had done nothing publicly. He had not challenged authority. He had not disrupted systems. Still, he was hunted. This is the pattern of light. It is identified not by action, but by essence. Darkness does not wait for proof. It senses presence. Herod's fear revealed a truth many people never want to admit. True threat is not noise. It is potential. This story matters because it mirrors your own. Some of you were noticed too early, not celebrated, noticed. As a child, you stood out in ways you couldn't explain. Adults reacted strongly to you, either with control or criticism. You may have been labeled too serious, too sensitive, or too different. Expectations were placed on you before you were ready. Or worse, resentment. Like Jesus. You were not targeted because of rebellion, but because of promise. Think about your early life. Maybe your family environment was unstable, and you became emotionally alert very young. Maybe you learned to read the room instead of playing freely. Or maybe teachers focused on you more intensely, watching you closely, even when others misbehaved more openly. You didn't understand why attention followed you, but it did. That early attention was not random. It was recognition without understanding. Now bring this into adulthood. Picture a normal workplace scenario. You are new, still learning, not trying to stand out. Yet tension appears. A supervisor tests you more than others. A colleague subtly competes with you. You feel pressure without explanation. You ask yourself, what did I do? Often, the answer is nothing. Presence alone can disturb insecure structures. This is where many of you internalized the wrong lesson. You thought the solution was to shrink, to be quieter, to hide capability, to delay expression. And for a season, that hiding was protection, just as Egypt was protection for Jesus. But hiding was never meant to become your identity. Joseph was warned in a dream. Not to fight, not to explain, just to move. This matters deeply. Divine wisdom often avoids unnecessary confrontation. Some of the exits in your life, the sudden relocations, career changes, or broken relationships were not failures. They were instructions. You obeyed without fully understanding, and that obedience preserved you. This connects directly to how heaven views children, calling, and destiny. As was written in the Psalms, chapter 127, verse 3, children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from Him. Read that slowly. A heritage, a reward. That means what Herod tried to destroy was never a threat, it was a gift. Darkness attacks what heaven treasures. This is the key shift you need to make. Early resistance in your life was not proof that something was wrong with you. It was evidence that something valuable had been entrusted to you. In daily life, this truth brings healing. Some of you carry wounds from childhood, feeling unsafe, unseen, or unprotected. You may struggle now with authority, trust, or rest. Your nervous system learned vigilance early. But here is the hope. The same God who calls children a heritage does not abandon them to destruction. You survived not because you were lucky, but because you were guarded in ways you couldn't see. Consider your financial journey. You may have experienced instability, early parents struggling, money being a source of stress. As an adult, you are careful, sometimes overly so. You plan, you worry, yet somehow you have not collapsed. Provision has appeared at critical moments. This is not coincidence. Preservation follows heritage. The rhythm of this message slows here, because understanding takes time. You were never meant to rush into visibility. Jesus returned from Egypt quietly. He lived 30 years in obscurity. Purpose matured in silence. If you feel behind, remember this: hidden seasons do not erase destiny, they deepen it. Now the pace rises again, because hiding too long becomes fear. What once protected you can later restrain you. The same child who was hidden eventually stood openly and spoke with authority. The same will be required of you. But not yet. Timing still matters, so hold this tension gently. You were seen early. You were protected intentionally. You are still here for a reason. The question is not whether you were chosen. The question is whether you will reinterpret your past through truth instead of pain. Here is the question you must sit with honestly. What part of your early life have you mistaken as rejection, when it may have been evidence that heaven valued you deeply? There is a reason envy has followed you even when you never tried to stand out. Not admiration, envy. You notice it in subtle shifts, a change in tone when you speak, an unexplained resistance when you remain calm, a quiet discomfort in others when you choose integrity over competition. Many chosen ones misunderstand this moment. You assume envy appears after visible success, but for you, it often shows up before anything has manifested. Darkness does not envy effort, it envies assignment. Look closely at your everyday environment. At work, you may notice that when pressure rises, you do not panic the way others do. You slow down, you become precise. That steadiness unsettles people who rely on chaos to feel important. When you refuse to gossip, you are not just being moral, you are removing fuel from a system that runs on insecurity. When you don't chase approval, you expose how much others need it. Even your relationship with money reflects this pattern. You may not be reckless, but you are also not desperate. You don't need to prove worth through spending. You don't measure success by appearances. And strangely, this quiet discipline draws attention. People comment, they question, they watch. Envy doesn't always want what you have, it wants what you are not controlled by. Here is the deeper truth many avoid. Satan does not envy humans because of power or perfection. He envies access. You fall, repent, and are restored. You are limited yet invited. You are fragile yet entrusted. Obedience opens doors pride can never touch. That reality burns a fallen system built on self-exaltation. In daily relationships, this envy often disguises itself as distance. Friendships fade without explanation. Support becomes conditional. Conversations turn competitive. You replay moments in your mind, wondering what you did wrong. Often, The answer is uncomfortable, but freeing your growth confronted someone else's stagnation. Your peace highlighted their unrest. Let the pace slow here. This is not permission to feel superior. It is an invitation to be aware. You are not better, you are assigned. And assignment always attracts scrutiny. Light does not accuse, but it reveals. Simply by being aligned, you reflect back what others avoid seeing in themselves. Now the rhythm rises again. This is why discernment is essential for you. Not every open door is safe. Not every compliment is support. Some opportunities are baited with praise but end in compromise. You've felt that quiet warning before, that hesitation when something looks good but feels off. That is not fear. That is wisdom protecting purpose. Here is where Scripture steadies the message. The ancient words recorded in Romans chapter 8, verse 19, still echo today. For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. Notice the word waits. Revelation is coming, but not all at once, and not without timing. Envy intensifies when revelation is premature. Some of your restraint is not delay, it is preparation. What is hidden is not inactive. What is quiet is not weak. In practical life, this means you do not need to announce plans. You do not need to explain boundaries. You do not need to correct every misunderstanding. Consistency will speak louder than defense. Let your results arrive without noise. Let peace be your proof. At home, this may look like stepping out of old family roles without debate. You stop rescuing. You stop absorbing chaos. You choose stability over approval. In finances, it may mean building slowly, avoiding risky shortcuts, trusting long-term provision over quick validation. In career, it may mean declining roles that inflate ego but erode alignment. Hope becomes very concrete here. The same envy surrounding you now will one day confirm your impact. Not everyone reacting to you is meant to go with you. Some people are present only to test your discernment, not to share your future. Slow again, because this matters. You are not responsible for managing other people's discomfort with your obedience. You are responsible for guarding what was entrusted to you. Envy loses power when it finds no reaction. Darkness grows frustrated when it cannot provoke you into self-betrayal. Here is the direct question you must answer honestly. Where have you been overexposing your vision to people who were never meant to steward it? Before moving forward, take one intentional action. In the comments, write this short phrase: I guard purpose. This is not a declaration against others, it is a boundary for yourself. You are acknowledging that not every eye is safe, not every ear is aligned, and not every season is meant for revelation. Guarding purpose ensures that when revelation comes, it arrives with authority, peace, and endurance. There is a moment every chosen one eventually reaches, a quiet, honest moment, where strength alone is no longer enough. You have learned how to endure. You know how to stay composed. You know how to function while hurting. But now, a deeper instruction arrives named the fragility. Not to surrender to weakness, but to stop pretending you don't have any. Fragility is not failure, it is information. You live in a world that rewards armor. At work, you are expected to perform regardless of what is happening inside. You show up on time, meet deadlines, manage expectations, even when your inner world feels thin and stretched. At home, you may be the stable one, the listener, the emotional anchor. People lean on you because you seem unshakable. But here is the truth. Unnamed fragility leaks out sideways. It becomes irritability. It becomes withdrawal. It becomes exhaustion that no amount of rest seems to fix. Strength that never pauses to acknowledge vulnerability eventually turns brittle. So we slow the rhythm here. Naming fragility does not mean dramatizing pain. It means telling the truth quietly. Being able to say, even if only to yourself, "This part of my life feels tender." Tenderness is not weakness, it is a signal that something matters deeply. Let's make this practical. Imagine a normal workday. You receive feedback that isn't entirely fair. You nod. You say, "I understand," but inside, something sinks. Instead of dismissing that feeling, name it. "I feel overlooked." Or "I feel unseen." Accuracy is power. In finances, fragility often hides behind control. You plan carefully, yet anxiety still visits at night. Name it. "I'm afraid of instability." That fear likely didn't start with you. Naming it allows wisdom to replace compulsion. In relationships, fragility appears when you avoid asking for help. You give easily, but receiving feels unsafe. Name it. "I'm afraid of being a burden." This is not self-indulgence, this is spiritual discipline. The scriptures have always honored this kind of honesty. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 9. "The heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it?" This verse humbles the heart. Self-awareness must be practiced. When you name fragility, you interrupt self-deception. You stop asking strength to do a job it was never meant to do. Here is a simple practice. Pause when discomfort appears. Name what feels fragile in one sentence. Choose one gentle response instead of a defensive one. "I feel inadequate." I will ask one clarifying question. "I feel lonely." I will reach out to one safe person. "I feel overwhelmed." I will address one small step. You are no longer fighting yourself. You are listening. Hope becomes tangible here, not because life becomes easy, but because you no longer carry everything silently. When fragility is named, it stops demanding attention through pain. In family dynamics, this awareness creates space. You respond as an adult, not as a wounded child. The rhythm rises again. Naming fragility also protects your calling. Unnamed pain drives overperforming and overgiving. When you know where you are tender, boundaries become compassionate instead of defensive. This is where life feels lighter, not because challenges disappear, but because you are no longer carrying them blindly. Consider this question. What part of your life have you been calling strength that is actually unacknowledged tenderness asking for care? And now, without pressure or command, let this moment extend outward. If these words feel like a quiet hand steadying you while you cross fragile ground, you may choose to leave a small mark here. Not for attention, but as a stone placed on a path, saying, "I passed this way, and it mattered." A gentle like is like lighting a candle in a dark chapel, no noise, just presence. Sharing this message is like opening a window for someone else who has been holding their breath. And subscribing is not a commitment to content, but a decision to return to a place where honesty is allowed to breathe. No pressure, no demand, only an open door. Some souls return not because they are told to, but because they recognize the air. You were never meant to be invulnerable. You were meant to be truthful, tended, and whole. Naming fragility is not the end of strength, it is where strength becomes sustainable. You do not need to harden yourself to survive what is coming. What lies ahead will require softness guided by wisdom, not armor built from old fear. Gentleness, when chosen consciously, becomes a form of quiet authority. As you continue forward, remember this: what you tend with honesty will strengthen with time. Fragility, once named and cared for, does not disappear. It transforms into discernment, patience, and a steadiness that cannot be shaken. There comes a stage in your journey where fragility has been named, wounds have been acknowledged, and silence has done its refining work. Now something begins to shift. You feel it not as excitement, but as readiness. A steady clarity replaces confusion. You are no longer asking, "Why did this happen to me?" You are asking, "What am I meant to do with what I've survived?" This is the stage where obedience becomes practical. Obedience is often misunderstood as restriction, but in truth, it is alignment in motion. It is choosing what strengthens your future over what soothes your present. For many chosen ones, this is the most uncomfortable phase, not because it is dramatic, but because it is precise. You are asked to make small daily decisions that don't earn applause but quietly shape destiny. Let's ground this in real life. At work, obedience may look like refusing to participate in conversations that compromise your integrity. Even if staying silent makes you seem distant, it may mean declining a promotion that pays more but pulls you away from balance, family, or peace. Others may not understand why you would say no to something they are chasing. But obedience listens to direction, not comparison. Financially, this season often requires restraint, not fear-based saving, but intentional stewardship. You may feel led to clear debts slowly instead of chasing risky gains, to give when it feels inconvenient, to stop trying to impress people who don't contribute to your future. Obedience here builds stability that drama never can. In relationships, this stage is especially clear. You begin to sense which connections drain you and which ground you. You stop over-explaining your boundaries. You no longer chase reciprocity from people who only respond to access. Obedience may mean stepping back, even when your heart wants closure. Peace becomes more valuable than answers. This phase can feel lonely, but it is not empty. The rhythm slows here because obedience often unfolds quietly. You may look around and think nothing is happening, but inside, something is being arranged. Old impulses lose their grip. Old patterns weaken. You start responding instead of reacting. That is growth. Here is where Scripture anchors this season. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs in chapter 3, verse 6, "In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight." Notice the promise. Straight paths do not mean easy paths. They mean clear ones. You waste less energy doubting every step. You stop circling the same lessons. Obedience removes unnecessary detours. In everyday terms, this looks like confidence without arrogance. You make decisions faster because you trust the discernment you've developed. You don't need constant confirmation from others. You listen inwardly and act. Hope becomes very tangible here. Not hope as wishful thinking, but hope as expectation. You expect alignment to produce fruit, even if you cannot yet see it. You expect peace to outlast pressure. You expect provision to meet discipline. This is also where resistance may briefly increase, not because you are doing something wrong, but because old patterns don't dissolve quietly. Temptations resurface. Old invitations return. You are tested, not to make you fall, but to show you how far you've come. When that happens, remember, obedience is not perfection. It is consistency. You will not always get it right, but you will recover faster. You will correct sooner. You will stay oriented. The rhythm rises again now. You are no longer being shaped for survival. You are being prepared for stewardship, of influence, of peace, of responsibility. Whatever is coming next will require a steady hand and a clear heart. That is what this season is building. So sit with this question honestly. Which small daily choice have you been delaying, even though you already know the direction? Before moving forward, mark this moment intentionally. In the comments, write the number 333, not as superstition, but as a signal of alignment, mind, body, and spirit moving in the same direction. A reminder that obedience is not about control, but about coherence. What you are becoming does not need to be rushed. It needs to be honored. The number you wrote is not magic, and it is not a shortcut. It represents alignment, 3 layers moving together. Your thoughts are no longer fighting your values. Your actions are beginning to reflect your convictions. Your spirit is no longer dragging behind old habits. When these 3 come into agreement, momentum is born. Confusion loses ground because direction is no longer divided. Progress may still be slow, but it becomes steady. And steadiness, over time, builds a life that no longer collapses under pressure. By now, something subtle but irreversible has happened inside you. You are no longer moved primarily by reaction. You are no longer living at the mercy of every emotional current, every opinion, every sudden disruption. You still feel deeply, but you are no longer governed by feeling. This is the quiet strength that forms when obedience has been practiced long enough to become instinct. This section is about presence. Not the loud kind, not the dominating kind, but the kind that changes a room without announcing itself. You have noticed it in small moments. At work, when tension rises and voices sharpen, you stay measured. You do not rush to fill silence. You do not escalate, and somehow, others begin to slow down around you. Meetings end differently when you are present. Decisions feel clearer. Conflict loses heat. This is not because you control the environment, but because you are no longer controlled by it. That is authority without force. In daily life, spiritual warfare rarely looks dramatic. It looks like restraint when provocation is easy. It looks like patience when impatience would feel justified. It looks like refusing to mirror chaos. Darkness feeds on reaction. When you deny it that fuel, it weakens. At home, this presence becomes even more evident. Family patterns that once pulled you into arguments now feel distant, not because you are detached, but because you are anchored. You listen without absorbing. You speak without defending. You leave conversations without replaying them all night. Peace begins to follow you not because everyone agrees with you, but because you are no longer fighting for control. This did not happen overnight. It happened because you learned to pause, to name fragility, to guard purpose, to obey quietly. Each practice layered stability into your nervous system, your mind, your spirit. Now, when pressure arrives, it meets resistance not from effort, but from grounding. Financial stress reveals this transformation clearly. Money still matters. Bills still exist. But panic no longer drives decisions, and you respond instead of react. You plan instead of scramble. You accept seasons without letting them define your worth. This steadiness blocks fear at the door. Fear has less access to a person who knows how to wait. Here is where the unseen realm responds. Darkness is not confused by noise. It is confused by consistency. When your reactions stop being predictable, when your emotions stop being exploitable, when your obedience stops being conditional, opposition loses leverage. You are no longer an easy target, not because you are aggressive, but because you are settled. This is why your presence disrupts without effort. The scriptures describe this kind of posture clearly, as the Apostle Paul wrote in the letter to the Philippians. Chapter 4, verse 7. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Guard is an active word. Peace is not passive, it stands watch. It protects thought patterns. It filters impulses. It keeps you from being dragged into unnecessary battles. When peace guards you, you stop bleeding energy into conflicts that were never assigned to you. This is also why some people react strangely to your calm. They may call you distant, cold, uninterested. What they are really encountering is a boundary they cannot penetrate. Your peace exposes how much chaos once ruled the space. Not everyone will be comfortable around that. Let the rhythm slow again. You are not here to convince others. You are here to remain aligned. Some will adjust. Some will fall away. Both outcomes are acceptable. Presence does not beg to be understood. In very practical terms, this season invites fewer words and stronger choices. You say no without guilt. You say yes without overcommitting. You rest without explaining. You move forward without announcing. This is not secrecy, it is stewardship of energy. Notice how your body responds. Breathing becomes deeper. Sleep improves. Decision fatigue lessens. These are not small things. They are signs that your system is no longer in constant defense mode. Safety has returned internally. The pace rises gently here, because this steadiness is not the end, it is preparation. What comes next will require you to hold space for others without losing yourself, to lead without dominance, to influence without control. That is only possible when peace is established first. You are learning how to walk through conflict untouched, how to hear criticism without collapsing, how to receive praise without inflation. These are rare skills. They are forged, not taught. So consider this carefully. Where in your life have you noticed situations changing simply because you remained calm? That is not coincidence, that is evidence. You are not meant to fight every battle. You are meant to shift atmospheres by refusing to become what you are resisting. This is how light advances quietly. This is how strength matures. And now, without announcement, without urgency, you continue forward carrying a presence that does not need to be proven because it is already established. There is a quiet moment that comes after long preparation, after endurance has matured into steadiness. It does not arrive with applause. It arrives with recognition. You realize you are no longer asking for permission to be who you are. You are no longer waiting to be discovered. You are simply standing where you are meant to stand. This is the crowning not with spectacle, but with acceptance. A crown, in this sense, is not something placed on your head by others. It is the weight you finally stop resisting. Responsibility no longer feels like a threat. Visibility no longer feels dangerous. You understand now that what you carry was never meant to crush you. It was meant to settle you into your true posture. In everyday life, this shows up very simply. At work, you stop chasing validation. You do your work with care, not urgency. You speak when it matters, not to be noticed. Others begin to trust your judgment, even if they cannot explain why. You become someone people look to in moments of uncertainty, not because you dominate, but because you are steady. In finances, your relationship with provision matures. You no longer measure security by excess or fear loss with panic. You steward what you have with calm discipline. You give without trying to control outcomes. You receive without guilt. Money returns to its proper place, a tool, not a ruler. In relationships, this is perhaps where the crown is felt most clearly. You stop trying to prove loyalty. You stop negotiating your worth. You choose connections that are reciprocal, not draining. You love without losing yourself. You let go without resentment. You understand that walking together is more important than holding on tightly. This is not detachment. This is integration. The pace slows here because this realization needs space. You were never meant to escape humanity. You were meant to inhabit it fully, without being consumed by it, to walk the earth with heaven's perspective, not heaven's distance. Your calling was not to shine above others, but to illuminate paths quietly so others could walk without fear. This is why your presence feels different now. You are no longer trying to convince anyone of who you are. You are simply aligned, and alignment carries authority without noise. The scriptures speak to this moment with clarity. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden." Notice the certainty, not you will become, you are. And notice also light does not strive to be seen. It shines by existing. Hiding is not humility when light is required. Stepping forward, now, is not pride. It is obedience. Hope expands here into vision. You begin to sense that your life is no longer just about personal healing. It is about availability, being present when others are confused, being calm when others panic, being truthful when others avoid reality. You don't preach. You don't rescue. You simply model what alignment looks like in real time. This is how impact multiplies without effort. The rhythm rises gently as this section nears its close. You are entering a season where your consistency will speak louder than any declaration, where your peace will challenge others more than arguments ever could, where your boundaries will teach more than explanations. This is the crown you wear, not gold, but gravity. So pause here and reflect honestly. Where in your life are you now being invited to stand openly, not hiding your light, but also not forcing it on anyone? If one sentence from this journey stayed with you, you may leave it here in the comments. Not to explain yourself, only to mark what resonated. Sometimes writing a single line is how a truth chooses to stay instead of fading. And now, as this journey settles, allow one final image to rest with you. If this message has felt like a long walk beside someone who understood your pace, you may choose to leave a footprint, not to announce yourself, but to say, quietly, "I was here, and I walked awake." A simple like is like nodding to a fellow traveler at dawn. No words, just recognition. Sharing this message is like lighting a lantern along the road for someone still walking in shadow. And subscribing is not binding yourself to a voice, but choosing to return to a path that feels steady beneath your feet. No urgency, no obligation, only resonance. Some journeys continue because the road feels true, not because anyone demands the next step. You were never chasing a crown. You were growing into it. And now, you carry it not above others, but within yourself, walking forward as heaven's envoy in human form. Grounded, awake, and unafraid. Before you close this moment, do not rush to label it as finished. Some messages are not meant to end cleanly, they are meant to linger, like a thought that walks with you after the room goes quiet. Let this be one of those moments. Nothing here asks you to decide who you are all at once. It only invites you to notice what shifted while you were listening. If these words were useful, if they clarified something you have been carrying, or gave language to a feeling you couldn't name, then let them travel. You may share them the way you would pass along a book left open on a table, or a sentence written on a wall that helped you breathe easier. Not to persuade anyone, not to prove anything, simply to offer what helped you stand a little steadier. And if this message was not for you in its entirety, that is also enough. You do not need to keep everything. Take only what touched you, one line, one image, one quiet realization, and leave the rest behind without guilt. Growth does not require agreement with every word. It only requires honesty about what resonated. Some of you may walk away with clarity. Others may walk away with questions. Both are signs of movement. Insight does not always arrive as certainty. Sometimes it arrives as permission to slow down, to stop explaining yourself, to trust that what is unfolding does not need to be rushed. If nothing else, remember this: you are allowed to carry your awareness gently. You do not need to turn it into performance or pressure. What is meant to grow will grow in its time, strengthened by patience rather than force. So let this ending remain open. If this message helped, let it continue its quiet work through sharing. If it didn't, keep what felt true and let the rest dissolve. Either way, you move forward unchanged in worth, but perhaps more awake than before.